Welcome to Chez Voyage. Today we are going over the best of 2022, and I did a deep dive into my videos and looked at the products that I really enjoyed, but also the ones that I was reaching for consistently, not just for myself, but for my professional makeup kit. For those of you that don't know, I am a professional makeup artist of 25 years. So when I compiled this list, I was thinking not just about what I really love, but also what looks great on my clients, whether that be for photo shoots, weddings, etc. What were the products that I was reaching for the most? That's what we're going to get into today with the best of 2022. Let's get started. I broke up this video into sections, so there'll be categories of lipstick, blushes, foundations, etc. And I'm going to move quite quickly because I've already done full videos on these products, which I'll link those down below for those of you that want to do a deeper dive into any of the products I talk about. As I go through each product, I will highlight 3 main key points that I like about the product to give you guys an idea of why I chose the ones I did. All right, everyone, let's go ahead and get started with lipsticks. Now I'm going to start with the lipstick that stole the show this year. It is the best lipstick out of all the lipsticks I'm going to talk about today, and that is the Dries Van Noten. Those that know, and many of you have bought these lipsticks and have responded back to me saying how much you love them as well. But let's talk about the 3 main reasons. The packaging is stellar. The formulation is beautiful, rosehip oil and shea butter, they glide on beautifully, and the pigmentation is so strong on these. They're comfortable on the lips, and they really have the most beautiful color story layout with each individual color. Highly recommend trying at least one out. There are 4 different formulas. There is satin, matte, balm, and sheer. Next is the new Clé de Peau satin lipsticks. 8-hour wear, skincare ingredients, argan oil for plumper, fuller lips, and the sheen on these is so gorgeous. 6 hours worth of hydration. I am wearing one of the lipsticks today, and it really does hydrate the lips and give a fuller appearance. And I believe that's due to the sheen that they have. They don't crawl up around the fine lines. So for those of you looking for a hydrating, really beautiful formula, great pigmentation and creamy texture, definitely try the Clé de Peau. Next is the Givenchy Velvet lipsticks. These are the most comfortable matte velvet formulas that I have ever used. The Givenchy glides on, feels comfortable, looks truly velvet, and stays on all day. The only thing I found personally that broke them down was anything with oil in it. Also, the color story on the velvets are beautiful nude and pink colors, and they really do wake up the complexion. I find you have to be careful with most nude kind of rose lipsticks because they have a tendency to wash out the skin. The Givenchy have just enough color to give the skin a bit of a pick-me-up while still having that nude kind of pinky color that looks so beautiful year-round, and especially in spring and summer. Next, the Lisa Eldridge Velvet lipsticks. Now this one surprises me because I bought several years ago when she first came out with the Velvet collection. Several of the lipsticks, they all dried out in the tube and snapped at the base. I decided to give a couple of the new lipsticks a try again, and I am loving the formula on these. I don't know if she changed the formula, or maybe I just got a bad batch the first round, but these are more hydrating, and the color pigmentation on these is so stellar, you guys. As a makeup artist, finding this kind of saturation and color read when it comes to being photographed or filmed is a dream come true. These are great for weddings, photo shoots, editorial work. They just look striking. So I cannot say enough about these for not just personal use, but specifically for you makeup artists out there. Now I will state they're not the most hydrating, but they are by far the most pigmented. Next, the NARS Power Matte Lipstick, 10-hour wear, transfer resistant, bold color, and light on the lips. I liked using this one the most when it came to applying all over the face because it is thinner in texture. You have to build it up a bit more, but once you have it on, it doesn't move, and the color range in this line of lipsticks is really well developed. It reminds me of the Lisa Eldridge and the Dries Van Noten when it comes to the beautiful different color stories. And for our last lipstick category of favorites for 2022 is the Chanel Fall lipsticks. There were 12 neutral shades that Chanel came out with, ranging from very light to deeper in tone, and they did a beautiful job curating these lipsticks, whether you were light, medium, or dark, because remember, just because something might be neutral for you, it may not be neutral for somebody with medium to deep skin tones, and vice versa. And of course, the texture on these was beautiful, buttery, creamy. They're not the longest lasting on the lips, but Chanel does such a beautiful job when it comes to the sheen, the hydration, and they always seem to have something that is left of center, which I love. It's a little bit more on the artistic side with their color arrangements. So once again, really love this collection. It was nice to see something a bit different for Chanel. I always find that they come out with pinks and reds or really light colors, but the neutrals were really well laid out this year. The Chanel No. 1 foundation. I have used the bottle up. I am on my second bottle. This illuminates and moisturizes. It protects. It uses red camellia flower, which helps to plump the skin, and it also helps with environmental stressors. For me personally, it just looks gorgeous on the skin. For those of you with combination dry, it really does hydrate the skin and leaves a nice glowy complexion without being too heavy. And if you're someone with oily skin and you do a thin layer, it looks beautiful as a tinted moisturizer. I found that I could sheer it down or build it up, and my go-to normally is Vitalumiere, which is my favorite. I've been using it for years, not just on myself, but for clients as well. And what I love about the No. 1 is that they're kind of like sisters. I would say the Vitalumiere is much more hydrating. It has more oil in it. So I couldn't wear it every day, or even with my dry skin, I would break out. So I've been reaching for the Chanel No. 1 more than I've been reaching for my decade-long love of Vitalumiere. So for those of you that like a glowy, hydrated makeup base, highly recommend checking out the Chanel No. 1. Another one from Chanel came into the best of 2022, and that was the Water Fresh Complexion Tint. Those beautiful pearls of pigmentation suspended in this jelly hydrating texture not only felt cool on the skin, it covered beautifully and gave the most ethereal glow. Talk about editorial skin. For those of you that flip through magazines and are looking for that no makeup glossy look, this is for you. Now, I wasn't a fan of the original Water Fresh tint that came in the square bottle. It just didn't give me enough coverage, and it was a little sticky. This is different. You definitely see more pigmentation, and you also see more coverage, and it feels lighter and cooler in texture, at least to me. Now, I like that it's a light to medium buildable foundation. It's luminous. It's a 12-hour wear, and it does a great job of evening the skin tone out to give a beautiful complexion. This next one really was a surprise to me, and that was the Haus Labs foundation by Lady Gaga. Oh my goodness, this was such an incredibly gorgeous foundation on the skin. It feels good. It photographs beautifully. It's a medium coverage, weightless foundation. It has 20 plus skincare ingredients, vegan, cruelty-free. It has a serum-like texture, so it feels more like you're putting a treatment on rather than a foundation. It cancels out redness. It covers beautifully, but doesn't feel heavy. Now, I will say the one minus is that it's incredibly difficult to find your shade range, and not just for myself, but so many of you wrote to me stating, I cannot find the right color. Do you know how to navigate the foundation colors on the Sephora website? I will say that if you look at the shade ranges, there is a color for everybody. It's just finding the color for your skin tone can be a bit trepidatious. Hopefully there's been enough of us out there that have talked about this through social media platforms that Lady Gaga and her team will have worked on it. But I highly recommend if you go into a Sephora, try the Haus Labs in the back of your hand. You'll instantly feel how beautiful this foundation is right away. I am a real snob when it comes to concealer. To me, it's one of the top 3 products that I'm continuously looking for when it comes to finding the perfect concealer, because concealer can really make or break a look, especially around our eyes. I don't care how plump and youthful your under eye area is. If you use a concealer that is too dry or the wrong color, It can really just make you look older and dry, and it can ruin a makeup look. It can grab onto skin texture. It can emphasize pores and acne. You name it, I have seen it. So concealers are really something that I'm always looking for. And let me explain. It is creamy, but it doesn't just sit on the surface of the skin. You take a little bit, you tap it in, and it goes in almost like a moisturizer, but the pigmentation on this is so well formulated and so well milled that it's like butter underneath the eyes. It has hyaluronic acid, so it plumps. It's long wearing, which it really does last all day. Medium to full coverage, 30 shades, and it's waterproof. It basically ticks every box when it comes to a concealer that I am not only searching for myself, but for my makeup kit for clients. This next concealer was a close second, but I'd still choose the Charlotte Tilbury, just to put that out there. But it's the Say concealer, and I like it because it's lightweight, great coverage, it's a clean product. It brightens and blurs and leaves a radiant finish, but key word here is light. I like to use this on top of the concealer because it adds a blurring effect as well as adds a hydrated, luminous, kind of glossy sheen. So it makes the skin look really dewy, but just know that it is definitely light. I wouldn't wear it on its own. It wouldn't be enough coverage for me, at least for my under eye circles. And it doesn't really cover dark spots well or acne, but it does illuminate the skin and it does build up beautifully. So if you have little imperfections here or there, or you're using a foundation and you just need a little extra help here and there, I'd recommend checking the Say concealer out. Next is eyeliners, and there's only two I've ever really reached for, and there's only two I ever really talk about, and that is the Victoria Beckham eyeliners, the Kajal eyeliners. They are creamy. They're a dream to work with. They go on like nothing I've ever experienced before. You can actually put them on and take a brush and make them into a cream eyeshadow. And then once they set, they set. But I will note, if you have a problem with eyeliner transferring, I like to first put the liner on by Victoria Beckham and then go in with a powder in the same color. For instance, if I use a black liner, the Kajal by Victoria Beckham, I go in with a black eyeshadow powder and I set it. You can even use a face powder. Just know it changes the color a little bit. Obviously, it'll make it lighter, but you can set these if you are having eyeliner transfer issues. And that goes for any eyeliner that you may love, and you just find that it's stamping either on the hood of the lid or running underneath the eye area. The next eyeliner that I really love that stays on, I would say, or doesn't move as much as the Victoria Beckham, is the Chanel eyeliners. The ones that are retractable, they are, I believe, the Stilo U, Y-E-U-X. Those are amazing. And I find that you can actually swim or take a shower in them and they don't come off unless you take an eye makeup remover that has some oil in it. Those two, Victoria Beckham and Chanel, I've found nothing better. The Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Unlocked Face Palette, 6 shades, wonderful for all over the face. If you're in a hurry and you need a blush, a bronzer, and a highlighter, you're set. Not only is the formula beautiful on these, they photograph gorgeous. I love to use these on clients when they're getting their picture taken or they're going to be in a commercial. It's just fantastic. So it's a radiant finish, pressed powder formula, cruelty-free, and it uses something called photoluminescent, which I have no idea what that means, but I'm guessing the word photo with luminescent means that it's beautiful when it comes to the light that it gives off. And I have to say, it does look absolutely stunning when it is being photographed. And when you are out in daylight and you're moving your face around, it really does a gorgeous job of bringing out your facial features. The RMS Redimension Hydro Blush. This blush formula is the one that I used the most in my makeup kit for the most clients this year. It is by far the most rich and pigmented, yet very natural looking blush I used, besides my Westman Atelier cream blush stick, which we'll get into in a minute. These blushes are so well formulated with their color story and with their finish. When I would place the blush on a model and I'd have them move their head around, it looked so incredibly natural, but it was really impactful at the same time. They're multi-dimensional, they're luminous looking. They have a full coverage radiance to them that I have not seen in a blush, I don't think ever, actually. These are by far the most innovative blushes that I've used in a really long time. I normally use Chanel and I use NARS, but I find that the NARS can be a bit dry, and I find that the Chanel sometimes just doesn't give enough color payoff. This has definitely become my go-to. I highly recommend checking out Maiden's Blush. I've used it on light skin all the way to deep skin and everywhere in between, and Maiden's Blush is just stunning, you guys. Next, the Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks Cream Blush. Where do I begin? First of all, if you haven't tried Westman Atelier products out, 90% of her individual products are so good. The foundation stick, the cream blushes, the contour stick is by far my favorite. The cream bronzers that come in the disc, incredible. The cream blush sticks, well designed, clean formula, beautiful packaging, beautiful formulation, great color layouts. Highly recommend trying her products out. Really well laid out. Now, the blush itself though, it has jojoba seed oil, several fruit extracts. It is a medium buildable blush, natural finish, conveniently placed in a stick to quickly blend onto the cheeks and great for travel. And the creamy texture on these gives the most natural looking flush. I like to call it a brisk walk flush, where it looks like the color is coming from underneath the skin, like nice blood flow through the cheek area. And because of the formula, it just looks really natural and very luminous. Next one was a surprise to me, but so many people on social media swore by it, from makeup lovers to professional makeup artists. And that is the Rare Soft Pinch Liquid Blush. Now, NARS has one that comes in a pump and it's the liquid blush. And these Rare blushes are far better when it comes to the pigmentation, the formulation, and the color payoff. Now, it has a radiance to it, but it's a matte finish. They're long wear and they offer medium coverage. And I have to state, for my fellow makeup artists out there who haven't tried this blush, it's a must try. You guys will love it for your clients. This last one is by Chantecaille. It's the Sunbeam Eye and Cheek Palette. And I was so in love with this color, I had to buy a backup. Why do I love it so much? First of all, it's the color. It is perfect for all skin tones, but it's even better for a year-round shade. It is gorgeous as an all-over powder. It's gorgeous as a highlighter. It's gorgeous as a blush. It's gorgeous on the eyes. It's just an all-in-one, and I reach for it every day almost because it's so easy to wake up the complexion and have a quick one-and-done look. To sum it up, it's a wonderful all-in-one gel powder formula that instantly adds a beautiful warmth to the skin. Next is my favorite face powder of 2022, and that's the Louboutin face powder. Now, just be warned, this powder is not cheap. You have to buy two separate pieces, the case and the powder. But the details on this powder when it comes to formula as well as presentation is spot on. The case is hand stitched with beautiful detail. And let's get into the real reason you'd want to buy this, and it comes down to the formula. Now, the formula has real ruby powder. It's a matte finish with buildable coverage. It looks like you put a filter on when you put this powder on. It is absolutely flawless. Because of the ruby powder, you're getting that brightening effect. The texture's so light that even though it's a matte, it looks more like a soft focus finish, and the buildable coverage on here doesn't get cakey. It just glides on the skin and softly builds up to the kind of coverage that you prefer. This next favorite brought a bit of a tear to my eye, and that's the Dior Natural Velvet Face Powder. I used this for years when I was actually working for the company, and it was my go-to. It was my favorite, and then they took it away and they brought it back, and I was so happy to know that not only was it as beautiful as the original, but they also took out some ingredients to make it part of the natural category that Dior has been doing with their natural line. Now, why do I like this powder so much and why did I wear it for so long? It's a soft, lightweight, matte powder, buildable coverage. You can wear it as a foundation. The puff, or the applicator, has two sides. One is a velvet texture for light application. The other side is a sponge so that you can build up to almost like a foundation. Incredibly fine milled, and when you put your finger in and you drag it back and forth, it starts to actually feel like cream. It's comfortable all day wear and definitely is a medium to full coverage foundation slash powder. Now, although it's matte, it does have rose extract in there, which is why I love it for someone like me who's in her 40s and who has dry skin. Normally matte powders are a no-go for me because they bring up texture and they just dehydrate my skin, but that rose extract in there helps to leave a nice hydrating base with that beautiful flawless coverage. Lastly, the NARS Light Reflecting Powder. Now, I almost forgot to mention the Light Reflecting Foundation, so I'm going to mention it here because it is a favorite foundation also. But let's go ahead and start with the powder first. This is the powder I use 99% of the time on my photo shoots. It's truly undetectable and flattering on every single skin tone. There are 4 shades that take you from light all the way to deep skin tones. But really what I would say when it comes to this powder is it's for those of you that don't like to feel anything, and for my makeup artists that are looking for undetectable, traceless, perfectly blurred, photoshopped skin for when your clients are being filmed or being photographed. In fact, there's something called photochromic technology that helps you to not get flashback. It is a microfine mineral powder and it has vitamin E and glycerin. What sometimes I find mineral powder does is makes us too dry, so that vitamin E and glycerin offsets that. Next is the light reflecting foundation, and these do pair beautifully together. The shade ranges from light to truly deep, medium buildable foundation, breathable, natural finish, and overall a foundation that really blew my mind, similar to how I felt about the House Labs. I'd never experienced anything quite like it. And what I mean by that is light reflecting to me usually means dewy. It's going to have like a glisten. Well, this does do that, but it sets down onto your skin. It's a foundation that I have by far felt the least amount on my skin. It feels like you're wearing nothing. What also intrigues me is the coverage on here is so well done without being chalky, cakey, or heavy. And the light reflecting quality of this foundation is so incredibly natural looking. The light reflecting foundation is one that is a staple in my kit because it looks good on so many different skin types, textures, and shade ranges. It is a wonderful foundation. There was one mascara that stood out to me this year, and that was the Dior Red Brick Mascara for fall. I like the Dior Over Curl line in general, so the red was a nice addition, especially for us that have hazel eyes or green eyes. It really does intensify the color when it comes to greens and browns. But if you have blue eyes, it just looked really cool. And the formula, of course, is wonderful because you have, first of all, the brush that's a curl, so it helps to lift and lengthen, and then it dries down the gel and it kind of tightens up and curls the lashes. Now, an honorable mention, even though it came out the year before, is the Gucci mascara. I love the length on this mascara, and it's clean and it's wispy. I'm actually wearing it today, but I will say when I first tried it on, I wasn't a fan of it. So it goes to show you, once you try something for a while and you find your rhythm, it can change your mind. And the Gucci definitely won me over. Eyeshadows is where I spent the most money for 2022. I see an eyeshadow palette and I just have to have it. I have to try it. It's like a world of color for me. It brings me joy. It gets my creative juices flowing. So I have quite the list down here that I'm looking at when it came to the eyeshadows that really wowed me. I had to really narrow it down. So I'm going to quickly go through all of these with you in this one section. So I wrote down an order of favorites. So the first two tied, and that is Lisa Eldridge, her new eyeshadow palette. Talk about an incredible formula, especially for my clients who have age-lit concerns. The color story is beautiful. The texture is lovely. I use them as eyeshadows. I use them as eyeliners. I use them as highlighters. But really where they shine is, of course, they're going to look beautiful on my clients who are younger. But for my clients who are 40, 50, 60 and up, who are having age lid concerns, that's where these really shine. Now, Olivia Palermo is right up there, and that's because, once again, a well-formulated shadow. But I will say there is a lot of glitter slash shimmer, even though it's finely milled, some of them. You still have to be a little careful if you're having deeper set lines and wrinkles. Now, mind you, when I say that, you do you. Makeup's supposed to be fun. If you want to wear a big, thick, chunky glitter all across your lids because it makes you happy, please do it. Makeup is about fun and it's about expressing yourself. So I'm never one to stick by rules, but I will offer you suggestions for those of you who quite often ask me over my 25-year career, how do I soften, aging concerns? So just be careful of shimmers, but if you love them, wear them. Okay, next I have the Guerlain eyeshadows. The Imperial Moon specifically. Now, I got every single color and I love every single one of them. And I know they were a bit hit and miss for some because they have a jelly-like texture. But if you go in with a thin wash of color, they're like pastels. And if you wet them, they are gorgeous, highly pigmented, and I love them as eyeliners. I talk about this a lot on my channel. For those of you who get an eyeshadow palette and there's a color that's a bit too bold for you, wear it as an eyeliner. You can even put down a brown or a black liner and then accent with a blue liner on top that will kind of ground those more shocking colors while still letting you play with color that sits outside of your comfort zone. Next I put down was Natasha Denona. She came out with a couple of really beautiful palettes this year. The two that stood out to me was the Dream palette, which had these peaches and purples, and I thought I had enough peaches and purples, but I'm telling you guys, it was the palette, the way it was arranged. It's a go-to, it's a staple for me, for myself, and for clients. I really reach for that a lot. It has a great mix of mattes and shimmers and sheens, and just a beautiful color layout to create several different looks from light to something more bold. And the one that really shocked me and surprised me and was a breath of fresh air was the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. Now, this palette, I was not about it at first. I opened it up and I thought, this is nothing like the mini retro palette that we were all hoping for, which had a lot more of these kind of grayish tones. This one had a lot of green and it had some pinks and it had a little bit of those gray tones. But green was the color this year, and this one was the most unique green that I had ever seen. So I cannot recommend this palette enough. It created some of the most beautiful, fresh, wintry looks that I do want to add on will be beautiful for spring. And the last two, the Chanel Tweed in the Couvert, I hope I'm saying that right. It's the one with the brown and the gold colors. Really beautiful. That was my favorite tweed palette this year. And lastly, the Isamaya French Industrial palette. Talk about a creative palette from package all the way through to color story and formulation. So many interesting looks you can create with that. And I can't say I'm surprised. Her whole ethos definitely leans into the abstract, the creative, and definitely sits outside the box. And lastly, makeup setting spray. I like the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray and the Krylon makeup setting spray. The Krylon is great for those of you who are doing all-day photo shoots or who do not want your makeup to move at all. And the Charlotte Tilbury helps the makeup to stay on really well, but I'd say it's more hydrating and less long-wearing than the Krylon. And a few little extras. Favorite nail polish for this year definitely was the Gucci and Chanel. And I also really like a clean nail polish brand that's called Zoya. I reached consistently for my Jo Malone. I bought a few Diptyque and I really got into Aesop candles. Favorite body products this year were hands down my Byredo products. I love their body washes, their soap, their body lotions, and their fragrance. And I still reach for my tried and true products by Jo Malone when it comes to not only fragrance, but body care. Whew, there we have it. 2022 best of. I hope this was informative to you all, if not at least a little fun and educational. And if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help guide you in a certain direction. I may have missed something on the list that you guys are curious about, or maybe there's something that I haven't tried that you guys have tried that I should try, so let me know and I'll try. I want to take a second to thank all of you that have been on this journey with me. Makeup has been a place that I can go to when I need to feel inspired or creative. If I'm feeling blah, it helps kind of pick up my day. And it's the reason that I got into this industry. It's the reason that I love what I do, is because my passion for texture and color and form is so essential to who I am, and being able to share my gift with you all and be able to do this as a career and to share my tips with you all and have you guys be so incredibly kind and warm and have this wonderful exchange really does mean the world to me. So thank you guys so much for going on this journey with me. I've gotten to know so many of you incredibly lovely souls and fellow makeup lovers. It's been such a pleasure and a privilege getting to know some of you, and I look forward to meeting more of you. But the ones that have been with me on this journey know that I see you. I love your comments. I love your posts. I wish I could just give you a great big hug. So I'm sending a virtual one to you all. But just thank you, truly. And I look forward to 2023 and adding more creativity and having more exchanges with you all. So thank you once again. And for those of you that are new to the channel and perhaps just watching for the first time, welcome to the voyage. My channel is all about creativity and joy, and hopefully you learn a little something and get a little bit more out of your products. But if you can take away just one thing from my channel, have fun, enjoy pigment, enjoy color, get creative, get messy. It's makeup, you could take it off. And most importantly, express yourself. We need your unique vision and your beauty out in the world. So continue to flourish creatively, my friends. And once again, know that I deeply appreciate you all. And on that note, if you want to support Cherie Voyage, it's incredibly easy to do. Go ahead and subscribe and use the affiliate links down below. I'll have everything that I talked about today, and then I have a list of stores that you can shop for anything your heart desires. Doesn't even need to be makeup. Every time you use the link, I get a small commission, and it helps me to continue to do this channel. And if you haven't had enough, head to Cherie Voyage at TikTok or Instagram, where I do many tutorials, give you a sneak peek behind the scenes of my life as a makeup artist, and I show you guys newness there normally first. And if you want to book me for a one-on-one session with a professional makeup artist of over 20 years, all you need to do is head to cherievoyage.com and you will see a list of lessons, and you can choose which one best suits where you're at in your skill set, all the way from beginning to advanced. All right, everyone, as always, continue to take care of yourselves, continue to take care of each other, continue to be kind to one another, and know that I'm giving you all great big hugs for 2023. All right, everyone, take care of yourselves. See you next year.